Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Melbourne, Australia for Week 8 of Division 2 here in the MidWest F1 League. I'm Hotspot as usual, and welcome to the Albert Park circuit here in Melbourne, Australia. 16 corners make up this 5.3-kilometer circuit with 9 to the right and 7 to the left. 3 DRS zones here with the biggest difficulty being keeping free of penalties and wing damage overall. The 3 big action zones consist of turns 1 and 2, which is always sure to claim some front wings. Turn 3, which there was no shortage of action in yesterday's F2 races. And finally, the DRS section out of turn 12, where there are to be many overtakes. And you know, that is definitely the best place to overtake on this circuit, being that you have a solid 90-degree corner where there's no big gimmick or anything of that nature. Granted, you could probably overtake into turn 1. That's pretty solid as well. Turn 3 is actually very, very hard to overtake into. That's the second DRS section. So it's going to be a little bit more tricky there, although I'm very sure that we're going to see some drivers take that risk tonight. So yeah, we should be in for a very good event here. This is obviously a special track for me personally, as this was the home of my first broadcast last season. As I'm going to step away for just 2 seconds to make sure my door is closed. I should have done this before the race. I didn't. Look how unprepared I am. And it looks like we have a Red Bull and a Ferrari out on the way, as well as a Mercedes. Looks like the Red Bull, is that Ray 46? No, that's going to be the Noganator is going to be out first. If it decides to work. So a couple driver announcements here. Porkchops has gone and demoted himself into Division 3 after last week at Baku, so he's going to be replaced by Fusilim in the Haas machine. And then also Subtle But Whole steps in for Chief Braids this week. Chief Braids missing in action, so, you know, had to find a replacement. That's how it goes. Is there any other drivers out on the outlap? Yep, it's Adaltonian. So big week this is for the league and in general. You'll notice many of the drivers are sporting green helmets tonight in observance of the continued mental health challenges people face around the world. It's definitely played into something near and dear to my heart, something that I've struggled with for a long time, and something that a lot of people struggle with constantly around this world. And you know, this has really just been a week. We've been holding a big fundraiser going on for, I believe it is the JED Foundation? I should have this written down. I only got home like 10 minutes ago, of course. Well, but this has been something that a lot of people hold near and dear to their hearts. A lot of people struggle with mental health, mental illness, and Saffron City's already retired from session. Oh my, how's that happens? Can we get a good onboard with the Mercedes of Hightower? And oh, he's done it right at the exit of turn 11 as well, hasn't he? And that's exactly where it's happened. He's hit that curb and gone off into the corner. I guarantee that's exactly what's happened. So very, very unfortunate there for the Williams driver of Saffron City, who has had a very difficult start to his season. Definitely not what he wanted to see, but yeah, as I was saying, a lot of people struggle with mental health around this world. That's something that I've struggled with for a good couple of years now. You know, it's one of those things that people really got to start looking into. People really got to start paying more attention to, and we've held a good fundraiser this week, raised over $500. And yeah, so that's been really, really cool to see. Really great example of this community coming together and fighting for a very worthy cause, as we see Uncle Ben's Rice spinning out, hitting the wall on exit of turn 2. That was probably one of the better camera cuts I've had, as Heitai Gaming goes and steps onto provisional pole, followed by Niru Nix in that Renault, and it looks like next to the line is going to be Ray. Nope, it's going to be the Noganator, who's just finished his lap. Can we get a driver that's actually starting a timed lap here? And that's someone. Well, Suttle's on his out lap, so we'll go along with him for our track guide of this circuit. we look and see who's fitted with tires. So a couple drivers choosing the medium tires. I'm not sure if that's a good decision or not. I mean, I probably would, but I'm also slower than most people, so not to say that any of these guys are slower than most, as we get a lot of good drivers in that category, such as Ben's Rice. But here we go for the unofficial track guide. Turn 1, there's a couple of different ways to take this corner. Basically, it all leads up to the exit out of Turn 2. Some people like to take it shallow, some people like to take it wider. All depends on that exit. That is a lot of time to be gained and lost. Turn 3, now this is a tricky one here because you could take that probably a little bit wider than Subtle did. This is Turn 4 here, another tricky corner, and then right this here, Turn 5. You could probably take that a little bit more flat out. Some people can, some people can't. All depends on the setup. Turn 6 and 7, decently straightforward there. No massive challenge, although some drivers can face difficulty with that. Turns 9 here. Now, some people can take this a little bit more shallow on the inside of the corner, as we see. Subtle didn't. He chose to stay pretty wide out. Here we are, turn 11 and 12 into the corner near Nixon Fusa, and a little bit of a problem there. So you can, if you take turn 11 pretty much on the inside of the corner, you can swing wide and take turn 12 at ease. That's exactly what Subtle's done. Turn 13 and 14, nothing big here. You do want to watch the exit of turn 14, as sometimes you can get caught in that gravel. Turn 15, this is a very heavy braking zone here, and you really have to get that corner right, not just to get the exit of 16 correctly, which you could also look out for track limits there, but also to get into the pit lane. So a couple different trickiness in those couple corners, and that is your unofficial track guide to the Albert Park circuit here in Melbourne, Australia. Subtle Behold there, putting in a 7th place worthy lap, which it's a little bit slower than other people's lap, although it's a little bit slower than those in, say, the top 3. Though I will say there was also a little bit of back markers. Well, I don't want to say back markers, but a little bit of an incident there on exit of turn entry to turn 11 rather. So he might have an opportunity to make a better lap than that. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers choosing to fit the medium tires, that being Capitano, Ben's Rice, Ray 46, ZGS, Monkey Mafia as well. And Uncle Ben's Rice has just gone and put himself up into 4th. So not a terrible lap from him. But though you can see here, the medium tire looks to be a decent amount slower at the moment. That is well over a second behind pole position, as, by the way, Fuselin putting a solid lap into place, a 120.2. That is actually a very, very good lap there. Put about 0.5 of a second back on Will Hands, our championship leader, so that one definitely raising some eyebrows there. Grabbing my attention, that's for sure, I'll say that much. Here comes A-Type on his outlap. A-Type's had a couple of good weeks recently. Let's see if he can bring another one into fruition here. He's definitely been getting the attention of a lot of the drivers here in this division after a couple podium finishes in his first couple of races here with Division 2. Definitely something to be enjoying on his standpoint. So you can notice there the difference between Adel Tony and I do apologize there. Something wild happened with my controller and headset, and it completely messed up my controller, and it messed up my audio stuff as well, so I've had to go on and quickly mend that. However, back to what I was saying, yeah, so as you were noticing through that corner of, that was turn 8 and, turn 9 and 10, really. It was interesting to see, actually, right here. As you can see, A-Type was going a lot more shallow into the corner, where Adel Tony was taking up most of the curbing in turn 9, and choosing to cut off maybe a little bit of turn 10, maybe get a straighter line going into that section of the track. So definitely something interesting there. As you can tell, it's another one of those circuits where there's a lot of different lines to be had. Different couple lines the drivers could be taking. As you can see, A-Type taking a little bit of a wider berth out of turn 13, and then also turn 14 as well. And he looks to be on a really good lap as well, setting a purple sector 2, I did notice when I did jump on board. So let's go along with him. He's on the fresh, soft compound into the DRS section, gets a really good exit of turn 16. And that is going to put Height P3 not that far ahead of Will Ans, less than 2/100ths of a second, but a very solid lap as well. And as you can see here, Forza Juve has hopped up into the second spot with a only about 5/10ths of a second behind Fuselim. But Fuselim coming into this week, the replacement for Pork Chops. Pork Chops putting himself down into Division 3. And I tell you what, that is a very solid showing there off the bat with 8 minutes to go in the session. See Will Ans on his outlap. He's a second off the pace at the moment, which is pretty strange, I'd say, for a championship leader. Though the thing about Will Ans, he usually comes into these qualifying sessions and usually takes a couple laps to figure out the circuit, and then usually puts on a performance well enough for first or second row. And oh, as I say that, Will Ans has gotten a little bit of oversteer. Well, my controller did that same exact thing twice, and I'm getting a little bit worried as that's the second time that's happened. But as you saw, Will Ans getting a little bit of oversteer coming out of turn number 3, actually getting knocking the end plate off that car. Gee, I guess I might have to switch to my secondary controller at some point. That's worrying me just a little bit. Not gonna lie to you guys. It's the second time that's happened. It's halted my progress in this recording. Though thankfully I have actually been able to record. So maybe a little bit of surprises right now in the qualifying results. We see Murphy coming in. He's at 5th place at the moment. Benz Rice in that Renault had that little bit of an incident earlier on coming out of turn 2. He currently finds himself P6 along with his Renault teammate of Niru Nixon, P7. Looks like the Noganator and the Red Bull going to be starting a timed lap here. Looks like the Haas of Spoolendub on his way to the line. Hopefully he hasn't invalidated for this and next. And no, he's actually been able to keep that going. So here he goes now through turn 2. Man, I'm going to be honest, that did not look like a clean entry or exit of turn 1 and 2. And that surely has hurt his time just a little bit, though he seems to handle turn 3 nicely. Doing well through turn 4, does pretty good there. Now let's see, yeah, he doesn't let off, almost doesn't let off whatsoever going through turn number 5. So he's definitely made up some time there. Across the curbing on the inside of turn number 7. Big lockup going into turn 9. Definitely lost some more time there. Currently finds himself P14. Although he is on some fresh softs, and what do we have? Subtle has gone off exactly that. Well, that is pretty much exactly where Saffron City has gone off, right there on the exit of turn number 12. I bet you again he's hit that curving on the outside, and he's gone straight into that wall, which is very, very unfortunate there. And Adaltonian, has he just done the same thing? Adaltonian has done the exact same thing in the exact same section of the track. I actually can't believe that. That is ridiculous. And yeah, that's exactly what's happened. We've had 2 DNFs there. It's just in the span of 10 seconds. 2 DNFs in that same portion of the track. Just wow, I actually can't believe. 3 overall with Saffron in that same little section as well. Unbelievable stuff here, guys. What's this going to mean for the race? I have no idea. And while we're on the topic of Adaltonian, be sure to check out his podcast, The Slipstream, which covers all F1 and Midwest F1 League action with him and his buddy James, I believe his name is. So yeah, check those guys out on Spotify and anywhere else that podcasts are available. Very, very fun to be a part of that podcast, and very, very fun to listen to it as well. Very, very well-produced. Just very, very good podcast. I've said very, very about 20 times in that one sentence. That's how you can tell I don't have a script for this. So next to the line looks to be Nero Nix. Now he finds himself P10, actually along row 5 with his Renault teammate of Uncle Ben's Rice. Not exactly where he wants to be, I'm sure, as both of those Renault drivers definitely capable of more. You'd have to wonder when Ben's Rice is going to be coming out again next. The track is pretty decently clear at this moment in time, as we see the Haas of, I believe that is Spoolendub, coming in now. So he's definitely going to want to take another go at this very shortly. I will say Adaltonian and Subtle have both put in laps, although not fast laps, or well, not as fast as they probably could, as it looks like Haytite Gaming has just jumped up into the second spots. But yeah, as they're saying, Adaltonian and Subtle, at least they have times on the board, but they definitely could have walked away with just a little bit more, and it's actually... Fusa has put in an even better lap than he initially did. He's now a second faster than Haytite and Forza. About 9/10, and then it goes back to over a second to Will Ans there in fourth. But as we are along with Nero Nix, looks to be having a decently solid lap at this moment in time. Ooh, maybe a little bit of oversteer coming out of turn 13. That one was a little sketchy, but he was able to save the car now into 15. Let's see what he does. A little bit wide on exit, maybe a little bit slower than he would have liked to have taken. Exit of 16, gets on the grass. Oh no, that's probably ruined his time right there, and that's only going to put him up to P10, actually hopping his teammate of Uncle Ben's Rice. ZGS in that Alfa Romeo machine has found himself up into 7th place, filling in for Humble Hippo this week. That's not a bad result, I'd say. I tell you what, this Alfa Romeo team definitely needs some luck to go their way, as these past couple of races have just been absolutely dismal bad luck for them, and which is unfortunate because I tell you what, that Alfa Romeo team, I say this pretty much every week, Mervincelli and Humble Hippo, very, very talented crop of drivers that Alfa Romeo team has. And it's just unfortunate that sometimes the luck is just not in their favor, as that seems to be the way it goes. Will Ans in that Alpha Tauri. He's on an outlap at the moment. Now he's a second off the pace. Back to Fusalim in that Haas. Oh, who's that that's just gone off? That's the Red Bull of Noganator. Has he gone off, or is he... No, I was just letting him by. I was about to say, that was a very strange place. As I believe that's Uncle Ben's Right that's gone by. Details just retired from the session. No, he's going into the pits. Okay, wow. I thought we were having turn 12 claim another casualty today. Right, well, here comes Will Ans to start his what is probably to be his final timed lap of the session. Nero Nix is just retired. He's in the pits. But I tell you what, Will Ans had a pretty solid outing here yesterday in F2. Will Ans, another one of those drivers that really, really enjoys the wet weather. I don't think we're going to get a wet weather race here today, which is unfortunate for Will Ans, as I tell you what, that is one of the better wet weather drivers that I have seen in all of Midwest F1, for that matter. So it looks like Haytite and Forza Juve can only manage P2 and 3 for the time being. Fusalim out on track at the moment as he makes his way through Sector 2 there, going into Turn 11 as we speak. He's letting the, that is the Mercedes of, or not Mercedes, that's the Williams of, I believe, Monkey Mafia going by. So I don't think Fuse is going to get a better lap than what he has, as he's had to let the Williams go by. Will Ans, though, still on board with him as he goes into 13 and 14. Across the curbs out of turn 13. Maybe it could be a little bit slower than he would have liked now into turn 15. This one's going to be close. I feel like Will Ans is potentially on a very, very solid lap here. He's going to have to absolutely gun it to the line. He's going to get the tow from the Red Bull in front of him now. Is this going to help him? And no, Will Ans goes P2. Still 0.5 of a second behind pole sitter Fusalim. ZGS is next to the line as he comes out of turn 16. Now, where is this going to put him? It's going to be close. And ZGS is going to go P7, I believe that said. So Fusalim in the Haas machine Stepping in for Pork Chops, who went down to Division 3 to be full-time, goes on pole position. Fusilem starting in first place, Will Ans in second, Uncle Ben's Rice third, Haytite Gaming fourth, Forza Juve in fifth, good result from him. The two Alfa Romeos of Murphy and ZGS, P6 and 7, Soy Loco in eighth, ninth is PWR, 10th is the Noganator, 11th Nero Nix, 12th is Hightower, 13th Detail, 14th Capitano, 15th Adaltonian, 16th Spool and Dub, 17th Subtle, 18th Monkey Mafia, 19th Ray 46, and 20th Saffron City, who was not able to get a time on the board. Very unfortunate for him. So let's now go over our constructors' standings. Currently, Alpha Tauri sitting a comfortable 20 points ahead of the Williams F1 team in second place. Renault sitting there in third. Not that far behind Williams, only 3 points, so possibly some shuffling about in the constructor standings today, potentially. Also, Ferrari right on the cusp of that battle as well. So very, very interesting how that's going to turn out. BWT Racing Point sitting there in fifth, Alfa Romeo sixth. Mercedes only 1 point above Haas in seventh and eighth. Red Bull sitting there in ninth, and then McLaren still struggling to get over triple digits, sitting there in 10th. Very, very unfortunate for that McLaren team, who had really high hopes going into this season. But anyways, for the promotion battle, Will Ans, 91 points above the cut line. It's safe to say, unless Will Ans somehow DNFs the next 4 races, probably will be getting that promotion into Division 1. Which that would be absolutely great to see for him. And it looks like Suttle's already pressed the check button. Somehow don't have a countdown timer, though. Uncle Ben's 70 above the cut line, and Soy Loco only 13 above the cut line. Chief Braids 13 behind, so that's going to be an interesting battle to watch. Spool and Dub not that far behind either. Forza Juve has a little bit more work to do, but all 3 of those drivers capable of overtake, and ZGS has just left the session. Well, that was an interesting happening there. Okay, so 1 minute and 47 seconds. And Monkey was not the first person to ruddy up there. But the fight to avoid relegation, Nero Nix 42 points above the cut line, Humble Hippo 33 points above the cut line, and Hightower a measly 9 points above the cut line. Noganator, Puff Digital, and Fusilem all within striking distance on Hightower at the moment. Very, very close battles there to be had. Definitely something to be looking out for as we go into the final stretch of our season. So definitely going to be looking at Fusilem here. He's on pole position, the replacement for Pork Chops in that Haas machine. Will Ans, though, in second. Definitely going to be trying to make some sort of move off this start. Uncle Ben's Rice all the more, as Uncle Ben's Rice has a tendency to kind of jump out to some early leads here in this race. Though he's got 2 talented drivers in front of him, and also 1 talented driver immediately to his right, as Haytite Gaming is definitely going to be looking to get back onto the podium. Forza Juve there in 5th. He's not in a bad spot either, I tell you what. He's actually doing pretty solid for that Mercedes team this season. Still holding that Mercedes team to within grasp of this midfield battle. Murphy and ZGS and the 2 Alfa Romeo teams are definitely going to be looking at these guys. Hopefully they get themselves into a position where they are capable of a good result. As I tell you what, these Murphy and ZGS, both capable of good results, definitely going to be looking out for them today. And then we get back to the 2 Williams drivers of Monkey Mafia and Saffron City, P18 and P20. Definitely not what they were hoping for, though I will say Saffron might have somewhat of an advantage here, that he's fitted the medium tires. And as you can see, a lot of drivers choosing to fit the medium tires, some even fitting the hards on the start. Nero Nix fit the medium tires, Hightower's on the hards, Detail fitting the mediums, Capitano on mediums. Forza Juve has apparently left the session. That is not good for him. Capitano on the medium, Adaltonian on the medium, Spool and Dub has gone to the hards, Ray 46 on the hards, and Saffron City on the mediums. So definitely, probably the first race of the season I've ever seen a driver start on the hard compound. Very interesting stuff there, although I will say maybe they have maybe they have a set of softs towards the end where they could probably make a solid run for it. We're definitely going to be looking out for them, as that is an interesting strategy call, to say the least. And I think Forza Juve might be able to get back into his car. Still has a red X on his name. Really hoping that he was able to get back into his car, as the rest of the field starting to form up here behind our pole sitter, Fuselin. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, for the Albert Park circuit here in Melbourne, Australia. And it's lights out and away we go. Now, I think Fuselin got a pretty solid start, but Will Ant's got an even better one. Here comes Haytite as well to the inside. He might get the position on Fusa as well. Will Ant's got out to the early lead. Subtle Butthole has left the session. I thought that was going to be a retirement. Front wings going everywhere back there. Haytite Gaming was able to get the position on Fusa. Fusa, big lock up there, going into turn 3, makes contact with Haytite. Haytite, very well done to save the car as well. Got a full virtual safety car, and that is, wow, look at this here. Wow, drivers everywhere. Wow, Forza Juve's going around in probably the worst possible place you can go around, right in front of the pack. Drivers, penalties everywhere for severe collisions, and I tell you what, that is definitely not what you wanted to see. I'm hoping that someone somewhere has a good replay of that I'm going to throw in right now. I tell you what, that was just such an unprecedented turn of events. 5-second penalties for so many people for ignoring yellow flags and serious collisions. Wow, now that has gone from 0 to 100 real quick, as we are still under the virtual safety car. See the predicted pit strategy. If you are Will Ans, you started on that soft compounds, you can take the hards between laps 9 and 12. Fuselin was able to hold on to that second spot, although Fuselin picking up a drive-through penalty for speeding under the VSC. That spool and dub off in turn 12. On exit of turn 12, luckily he hasn't picked up any wing damage, but definitely not what he needed. And it looks like Fuse is going to go ahead and serve that drive-through penalty now. Very smart of him to do so. And that is just so unfortunate there for Fusa, as, that is a common mistake to be made, speeding under that VSC. And that's exactly what he's gone and done. Another yellow flag there in turn 20? Turn between turn 14 and 15. That is the Mercedes of Forza Juve, whose day went from bad to worse. As you can see, very, very unfortunate for him. Now, I will say, somehow it has panned out again to the usual 3 suspects on the podium positions, although I will say not one of them is safe at the moment. As surely this race going to be a lot more left to go, and look at everybody is taking their pit stops, as much as probably positions 13 to 20 all taking their stops at the moment, probably to get rid of those 5-second penalties, and that's exactly what they're doing. Uncle Ben's Rice is probably next in line. He might get a good run at Haytite here once DRS opens up. I tell you what, though, Will Ans has a good lead at the moment. It's hanging right there around 0.7 of a second. Doesn't look to be going, fluctuating that much, although Ben's Rice looks to be slowly making up ground on Haytite Gaming. Soy Loco there in 4th, starting to drop off just a little bit. Lost about 0.2 of a second just then, and we got a little bit of action going on down there into turn number 15. But at the moment, here comes Uncle Ben's Rice round the left-hand side of Haytite as they go into turn 3. That one's going to be close, and it looks like Haytite's going to keep the position for now, but that fight is far from over, and I think we have El Capitano in a battle with Adaltonian back there, and I think El Capitano has gone and gotten that position, although still up for grabs there. It looks like Ray 46 been overtaken by Fuselin as they go into turn number 3. I saw Ray 46 go down the order just a little bit there, although I think he's made up a decent amount of positions here. Yeah, he's made up 11 positions since the start of the race. Very nicely done from him. As you go back a little bit further, Capitano still under pressure from Adaltonian as they go into turn number 3, and who's that? That is the... Oh no, and that's Haytite. Haytite has gone off on the exit of turn number 12, And, well, surprisingly, he's not lost any of his front wing, but that moves him outside of the podium positions. And that is definitely not what he wanted, although I will say it's nearly a Christmas miracle that he didn't lose any of his front wing on exit of that corner. We'll have to get somewhat of a replay on that if possible. But not what you wanted to see there from Haytite. However, Soy Loco in that Racing Point machine moves up into third place. I don't know what is wrong with my timing at the moment, but here's Fuselim trying to make the move on Hightower down the deep. Looks like he's going to easily get him as those softs are just completely overpowering the hard tires on the Mercedes of Hightower there. A little bit further back, here's Adel Tonian, still looking to get that position of El Capitano. I got Niru Nix in his sight as well, and I tell you what, with DRS, might make at least one of these overtakes happen. Let's see what happens here. Oh, Adel Tonian, don't dive bomb into the corner like you did me yesterday in the F2 race. And he chooses not to this time. Wish he made that same choice yesterday. all jokes, but El Capitano might be closing in on Niru Nix here just a little bit. Niru looks to be a little bit slower on that hard compound, though is doing some solid defensive driving at the moment. Capitano making his way through turn number 5, looks to be doing okay. Now, is he going to make the overtake into turn 6? Thankfully, he doesn't, because that would have ended poorly if he did. Niru Nix into the grass, losing the car just a little bit now into turn number 9, and it looks like Capitano is going to get the overtake here. Still side-by-side, though, on exit of the corner. Still side-by-side, as they're going to be going into turn 11. Now, this one's going to be close. This one might just end in destruction, as this is not a corner you want to go side-by-side through. Niru Nix going to go across the curbing, and wow, El Capitano really just kind of got forced off. Oh, Adel Tonian into the wall! Adel Tonian has brought out a full safety car right before our eyes. And we saw that along with El Capitano there. And a full safety car on track. Wow. Now Capitano and Niru Nix were side by side. Coming into turn 11, Capitano had to get shoved off the track. I don't know if maybe Adel Tonian had to go take a different line because he thought that Capitano went off or something or had an incident. And Adel Tonian got loose off the curbing out of turn 12. And Bernd Maylander will make a couple laps around the circuit. So who is this safety car good news for? Well, if you're Haytite Gaming, that's good news for you, as you've just caught an absolute break as in his fight to get back to Soy Loco there in third. Will Ann's coming in, Ben's Rice coming in. Now, do you think these guys are going to be fitting the hard compound? We'll have to wait and see. Now, is Soy Loco going to come in? Soy Loco's going to come in. Haytite, what is he going to do? He could probably come in as well. He is. Ben's Rice has fit the hard compound tires. It looks like behind him, Ben's Rice fit the mediums. Medium compound tires for Uncle Ben's Rice. Will Ann's on the hard compound. That one's going to be interesting there. Ben's Rice definitely has the advantage with the tires and the Delta. But I tell you what, I don't think Will Ann's going to need to stop again. I think Ben's Rice will. And if Ben's Rice chooses not to, well, Will Ann's is definitely going to outlast him on the hard compound. Hightower moves up into third. Ray 46 up into fourth. What a start to this race it's been for Ray 46. 15 spots since the initial start of the race. Hightower making up 9 himself. Subtle in the McLaren picking up 10. Very, very good start to this race for those guys. See if I can. So this one's going to be definitely an interesting battle here as Ray 46 moved up into that top spot. Now, if we look at the tires, Ray 46 5-lap old hards, Hightower 5-lap old hards. Everybody else in the top 6 has fresh tires. Uncle Ben's Rice is the only driver in the top 6 at the moment, top 7 as well, that has fit the medium tires. Subtle but whole, still on those 5-lap-old soft compounds that he started the race with. So that one's going to be interesting to see. And still very unfortunate for Adolf Tonian, who brought out the safety car here. And that's the exact same manner as he DNF'd in qualifying as well, going off on the curbing of turn number 12 and smacking the inside wall. And I was really hoping that he wasn't going to DNF, but he hit that wall a ton. And that is just the unfortunate reality of what's happened to Adolf Tonian. Not the result he needed, not the result that Ferrari needed as well. Ferrari right on the doorstep of getting into not only the podium positions, but probably second place as well in the constructor standings. Definitely not what they wanted. So ZGS here in 8th has an interesting task ahead of him, because he's got fresh medium tires. He has Subtle but Whole in front of him on decently older softs, and he's got the rest of the rest of pretty much everywhere else ahead of him. He's got the Red Bull of Ray 46. He's got the Mercedes of Hightower, also on older hard tires. He's got Benz Rice on the only other driver to fit fresh medium tires, unless your name is Spooled Up Forza Juve or Monkey Mafia. So I'm definitely going to be looking at ZGS here on the start, as he is in a very interesting position now. Will he have the pace to get around some of these drivers on the initial start? That's going to be the question at hand. And we still have a couple drivers catching up to the safety car here, so we might get at least one more lap of safety car. Lots of drivers picked up penalties for that incident going into turn number 3. Lots of them went and cleared it. So I tell you what, the drivers that haven't cleared it are Hightower, Ray 46, Subtle has 10 seconds, Noganator has 5 seconds, and PWR has 5 seconds as well. So those drivers definitely going to be looking to take care of their time penalties very shortly. And I think that might be the only reason why Hightower and Ray 46 didn't box that time, was because they were like, well, I'd rather have the position on track and not have to box. I mean, I'm already on the hard compound tire, going to be able to make it to the end of the race anyways, potentially. So an interesting strategy call there for them. But maybe a smart one. That might actually work into their favor. Who knows? For some reason, my nose is beyond plugged, and I've had to put the fan that's normally pointed at my PlayStation to keep it from catching on fire, and I've had to point that at my face so I get some fresh air. And so this one's turning out to be a very interesting race. Haytite Gaming has moved down into P6 after what I believe was going off in turns 11 and 12 as well, although Haytite Gaming didn't pick up any wing damage from that incident. It was very fortunate not to, as if he did, that would have been definitely not the result that he wanted to the end to that. Will Ans and Uncle Ben's Rice leading the pack out of turns 9 and 10. This one's definitely going to be interesting for those two, as they are going to be under a lot of pressure. Will Ans in particular going to be under a lot of pressure. Uncle Ben's Rice is going to be under pressure because we're not sure if he actually made the correct strategy call. Safety car is going to be in this lap, as Adolf Tonian has just gone and left the session. So we're going to be along with Uncle Ben's Rice on this start. Camera's going to be focusing on him. Oh, what's this? Will Ans trying to back up the field as much as he can. Will Ans trying to get some heat into those hard compound tires. This one's going to be interesting here. There's no doubt in Will Ann's ability to do some impressive defensive driving, although he's got Uncle Ben's race behind him on the fresh compound tires. And look at this, the field getting really backed up into turn 15. Hopefully no time penalties to be had there. Will Ann's holding up the field as much as he can. Uncle Ben's race going to try to get alongside him to the start. Will Ann's now hitting the throttle, back to green flag. Once we pass the stripe, Will Ann's doing his best to try to maybe break the toe. Now going into turn 1, this is going to get interesting. Will Ann's going to have the position behind him. It looks like Soy Loco may have been forced out by Ray 46. Ray 46 goes around back there. That's going to be in a terrible spot to go around. Somehow he's kept that thing out of DNF. And we're still under green flag racing. However, that one has not fared well. Hightower now dropping down the order. What has happened to Hightower? I think he may have made contact there with Haytite going through turn number 4. Not what he needed, and he's missing the end plate on his right-hand side. Such heartbreak there for Ray 46, who's in a great position at the beginning of the beginning of that, and he's just gone and been forced down to P19. Definitely not what he needed. Here's Uncle Ben's race, though, right behind Will Ann's as they go through turn 11 and 12. Ben's race on that medium compound. He's definitely going to have the advantage once DRS comes to play in a virtual safety car. Now we have 2 cars off, one of them being El Capitano in the Alpha Tauri machine, and then the other is Ray 46, who's gone and DNF'd back there on exit of turn number 7. That is just absolutely pain, to say the least, and that's so unfortunate for Ray 46, who, him and Noganator as well, were both on track to have really, really solid races from the position, from the end of the safety car, and that's just so unfortunate what's had to happen there. And I don't think we're going to get DRS for another lap, as well as the VSC still underway. 2 cars coming into the pits, that being Noganator and Hightower. 3, actually, if you want to include Fuselim. That is Haytite coming in as well. Not the week that Haytite wanted, apparently. Very unfortunate there for sure. But we are back to green flag racing, and Soy Loco definitely wants in on this battle as well. Now here's Uncle Ben's race right behind Will Ann's, trying as best as he can to kind of keep pressure on Will Ann's, maybe force him into a mistake as they go into turn 6 and 7. Will Ann's doing his best as he can, just trying to keep his line clean. Ben's race, I don't think, is going to make any serious overtaking maneuvers through this section of the track. Will Ann's did not get the line that he wanted, that's for sure, as he takes up all of the curbing there out of turn number 10, and he's opened the door for Uncle Ben's race as they head into turn 11 and 12. Will Ann's definitely under pressure. Uncle Ben's race has taken the entirety of the corner. Didn't pick up a penalty there. But not only has he cut the corner, he's dropped back another 0.2 of a second. This one's going to be close between these 2 drivers. Not to mention Soy Loco is still on the doorstep of this battle as well. However, Uncle Ben's race charging in behind the gearbox of Will Ann's as they go into now turn number 16. This one is going to get interesting very, very quickly. No DRS to be had. It's going to be open this lap, surely. Into turn number 1 they go, and Uncle Ben's race is going to hit the brakes a little bit early. Will Ann's maybe taking a little bit of the grass on the inside of the corner. That one was close. DRS said it was going to be open this lap. Apparently race control lied to me. Michael Massey, how dare you? Soy Loco still 0.6 of a second behind Uncle Ben's race there for that spot. As we go a little bit further back, this one's going to be a tight battle, as well as Noganator looks to get in on this 4-car battle here behind Subtle But Whole in that McLaren for the 5th spot. Niru Nix wants in on this as well, and Subtle is his AI, so basically just hanging in behind the AI of Subtle here. Up a little further, Uncle Ben's race still doing everything he can to try to get past Will Ann's. This one might get interesting very, very quickly as they now go into turns 11 and 12 yet again. I tell you what, Will Ann's seems to have an absolute grip with this circuit, but as we go a little bit further back, side-by-side racing here as we go into turn 11 between Noganator and Murphinselli. Murphinselli, he now drops back into P9, but here they go down. This is a great shot here, isn't it? Noganator still under pressure from Murphinselli. Murphinselli's going to try to move to the inside as they go into turn 13, and it looks like Noganator maybe had the better line on exit as Ray 46 leaves the session. So unfortunate for him yet again. Still an ever-evolving battle here, and we have a battle for the lead going into turn 1. It's side-by-side between these 2. Uncle Ben's Rice had the DRS for sure. He's going to have it again this time. They're still side by side as they're going to head down into turn number 3. Big lock up there from Will Ans, still side by side into 4. Will Ans sticking his elbows out, trying to give Uncle Ben's Rice absolutely no room. And Uncle Ben's Rice is going to finally back off and save both of them some trouble there going through turn 4. Now Soy Loco goes straight through the grass there. Wow, an absolutely wonderful battle for the lead this is. Now here comes Uncle Ben's Rice to the inside of Will Ans as they go into turn number 9, and it looks like Ben's Rice might have it. No, Will Ans is going to fight back, and Will Ans is going to keep the position. An absolutely great race for the lead this is. Now into turn 11. Ben's Rice is going to play it smart and not go side by side through that section of the track. Ben's Rice yet again taking up a little bit of the corner. That's surely going to be his second warning, at least. Into turn 13. Ben's Rice, maybe a little bit of oversteer on exit at turn 13. That's cost him just a little bit of time. Yellow flag at sector 3. That's Niru Nix. We'll go on board with Monkey Mafia, who's made his way up into P8 now, but Niru Nix, yet again, a driver being claimed on exit at turn 12. I think that's the 5th time today we've had that incident happen. Spanning into qualifying as well. Very, very unfortunate things happening here for a lot of these drivers. Man, exit at turn 12 has just been an absolute mess today, as it seems. Couple drivers coming in, that being Monkey Mafia, Noganator, and Detail, all choosing to come into the pits. And I tell you what, this door just refuses to close for Soy Loco. Soy Loco is doing everything in his power to stay within the top 3 spots, and he's got a little bit of gap back to ZGS as well, but he's doing everything he can to maybe get up to the 2nd spot. It's going to be an absolute battle here for all 3 of these drivers. Never mind Will Ans and Uncle Ben's Rice. Soy Loco is right there as well, and he is definitely capable of pulling out an upset here. Uncle Ben's Rice yet again not getting a great line into turn 11 and 12, losing a little bit more time back to Ben's Rice, back to Will Ans, although he does have the DRS. Soy Loco had it as well. Soy Loco now getting ever so closer to moving in on Uncle Ben's Rice. Soy Loco just picked up 3 seconds for multiple warnings on exit of turn number 14, and I tell you what, that is, I don't want to say we expected that, but I tell you what, that spot in particular is sure to catch some out to dry, and it did for Soy Loco. But now here comes Ben's Rice into turn 1 yet again. He's trying his best to maybe wear down Will Ans, but Will Ans just isn't cracking under the pressure at the moment, holding on so well. And Ben's Rice just trying everything he can to stay in position for this spot. But Will Ans is simply, I tell you what, he looks to have had this circuit absolutely perfected. Now I will say some cloud cover moving in. Now that could be interesting, as we still have a decent amount of time left in this race. Can we potentially get some rain? That would be all the more interesting here. And I think at that point in time, the advantage might just open up for Will Ans, as he is definitely known to be one of those drivers that loves the wet weather. We're going to leave that battle be for now, but here comes Murph and Selly trying to get onto the back of PWR in that McLaren. I tell you what, a good result for McLaren this would be for PWR. Getting a little bit of the curving on exit of turn number 12. Doing his best to not invalidate there. Looks like Will Ans has put about 0.5 of a second back on Ben's Rice now, but as they head through the DRS section, it looks like Uncle Ben's Rice still trying his best, still keeping within reaching distance of Will Ans. Not to mention Soy Loco is, he's starting to fall back just a little bit even with the DRS. Here comes Ben's Rice right up on the gearbox of Will Ans through turn number 3. What a very intense battle this has been for all of these drivers. Soy Loco still right there as well, although you have to believe He's going to have to somehow keep that gap outside of 3 seconds back to ZGS. And wow, Uncle Ben's Rice has just completely overshot the corner and has lost so much ground to Will Ans, and Soy Loco takes the spot as well. Uncle Ben's Rice made the mistake going into turn number 9. He missed his braking point, had to go wide to avoid Will Ans back, to avoid his gearbox. And Soy Loco moves up into the podium, moves up into second place. Ben's Rice right behind him, and now it looks to me like Ben's Rice is starting to maybe fade away just a little bit as those medium compounds starting to get ever so older. As we look a little bit further back, Monkey Mafia under pressure here from Detail as they go through turns, what is this, 8, going into turns 11 and 12 shortly. Monkey Mafia's done good, he's gotten himself up into P9. It looks here Ben's Rice still trying to work on Soy Loco. Monkey Mafia's made up 9 spots since the start. Saffron City made up 6 since this start, so not bad from the Williams team. Not where they'd like to be, but not bad at all. Ben's Rice still doing everything he can to try to get around Soy Loco. As they now head into turn 9 and 10 again, Uncle Ben's Rice is going to move to the right-hand side. Uncle Ben's Rice going to get contact with Soy Loco. And I tell you what, there was nothing Soy Loco did wrong there. I felt that was a completely clean move from both Soy Loco and Uncle Ben's Rice. And I tell you what, Ben's Rice has just not had the luck that he's wanted with that. I don't much think there was anything wrong with that. And Soy Loco has escaped with the position yet again. As we look a little bit further back, here comes Detail still trying to work on Monkey Mafia as they go into, what is this, the turn 6 and 7. Detail doing his best to stay along with Monkey Mafia, doing everything he can. And if we look at the tire life for these guys, they're on the same age and compound as well. 3-lap-old mediums for the both of them. Now Uncle Ben's Rice and ZGS on those 11-lap-old medium tires. Murphinselli's come in now, so he's stretched his mediums 14 laps. So you'd have to believe that potentially we could be seeing Uncle Ben's Rice and ZGS coming in within the next 3 to 4 laps if Murphinselli's only chosen to take his 14 laps, and he didn't have any wing damage as well, so 14 laps might just be the answer for the medium tire. Yellow flag over in Sector 3. That is Capitano and Noganator over here in turn 13. You'd have to believe maybe someone was going for an overtake. And just bad things happened there. Oh, what's that? That can't be Ben's Rice. And Ben's Rice has lost the majority of his front wing on the left-hand side. In the middle of turns 11 and between 9 and 10 and 11 and 12, that little sector of the track. And Uncle Ben's Rice, his day going from bad to worse. And now ZGS up into 3rd place in the Alfa Romeo. Uncle Ben's Rice just not what he needed, and you'll have to believe that he will be coming in shortly. However, I will say this might be somewhat of a blessing for Uncle Ben's Rice, as maybe he could put on another set of mediums or maybe a set of softs or something and find the end of the race. Gray 46, and it looks like Soy Loco is going to be under investigation for that incident with Ray 46. And yeah, as you can see, Uncle Ben's Rice repairing that front wing, or replacing it, I should say, but he's put on a fresh set of soft tires. And I tell you what, the couple drivers above him, Fuselim in the Haas and Haytite in the Ferrari, and then ZGS there and the Alfa Romeo, all on older compounds, older medium compound tires. That one could get interesting very shortly, and it looks like Detail finally makes his way around Monkey Mafia. Though things may not last forever, Monkey Mafia gets it back immediately, and because Detail did not get the line through turn 2 that he wanted, now PWR is going to make the move on Monkey Mafia as well. 2 overtakes in the span of literally a straight for PWR. Now is he going to make it stick? And you bet he will. What a move that was from PWR. That was absolutely brilliant there. He had Detail go off ahead of him going through turn number 2, was able to make the move on Monkey Mafia's stick from the DRS going into turn 3. That one was brilliant there. Detail not out of the woods yet, as he's got Uncle Ben's Race around his left-hand side. Now Ben's Race will have to keep an eye on him, as he is surely going to be charging through the field on these soft compound tires. Back there in P9, definitely not what he wants. Although I will say he looks to have some serious pace at the moment. Monkey Mafia is next in his sights. Around the right-hand side goes Uncle Ben's Race, making that overtake work. PWR Grim Reaper is next, although Grim Reaper has those... Grim Reaper? Grim Reaper is his name. Has those fresh medium compound tires, only 2 laps old. We have a yellow flag behind him through what I believe is turn 14. Maybe a driver just going into the sand, into the gravel rather. And here comes Ben's Race for P7. Moving to the outside. Now, I don't think he's going to get around him going into the corner. That one's going to be close. Ben's Race clipping the grass. Ben's Race did make the overtake happen, and he's going to get the DRS as well to even further stretch that. Nicely done there from Ben's Race. A risky maneuver, I'll say that much, but a good maneuver it was. Monkey Mafia wants in on this battle as well, as he's still trying to get within a second of Grim Reaper. As we look up further, Soy Loco now 2 seconds back on Will Ans in that AlphaTauri machine. However, I will say he's put 5.5 seconds back on ZGS. The top 4 positions, very, very spread out here. Top probably 5, 6, 7 for that much. All very spread out, in PWR picking up 3 seconds there for exceeding track limits. But P7 to 1, very, very large gap in between all of them. So we'll have to look a little further back. Now here comes Forza Juve. He's going to try to make a move on Detail here shortly. Detail lockup going into turn 15. And that is an absolute buzzkill as Forza Juve comes into the pits. So please tell me he's not going to pick up a pit road speed penalty, and he doesn't. And wow, that's a convenient pit box. Though it didn't look like the team was ready for him there. That looked like an unscheduled stop, really, as they weren't even close to ready to go with his tires. That one a little bit close to Carl there. A little bit on the sketchy side. Now Subtle trying to still maybe put Detail in his sights. He's only a second behind, not that far. So Soy Loco's made the gap within 2 seconds on Will Ans, and it looks like it almost looks like he's starting to close in maybe a little bit. That one's going to get interesting potentially. Gained about 0.2 of a second. Yeah, and it looks like Soy Loco started to make up some ground on Will Ans. Made up about 0.5 of a second in the last lap alone. It looks like Soy Loco might have something for Will here. That could get interesting very soon. Remember, that gap was about 2.5 seconds not that long ago, last lap. And I'm not sure what could have happened to Will Ans to maybe lose time, or Soy Loco's just having a better line through the track. But man, it's definitely raised some eyebrows there. Yellow flag, that is the AlphaTauri of El Capitano, who's gone off on exit of turn number 6 and has lost the majority of his front wing on all of it. Yeah, that's quite unfortunate there for him. Not much that he can do, but nurse that thing back to the pits, get a new wing on it. Soy Loco now within a second on Will Ans. The battle for the lead just got hot. I'm not sure if Will Ans is maybe struggling with the circuit a little bit. Yellow flag over in Sector 3. That appears to be Capitano again. DRS for Soy Loco. Now, who's this coming out of the pits? That's going to be the... that is the Williams of, I believe that's Spool... no, not Spool and Dub. He's going to get right in the way of Will Ans. What is this? Spool and Dub did not give way to Will Ans there, and has cost Will Ans another 0.3 of a second there. My, oh my, Spool and Dub nearly just made an enemy with the person atop the table. Now Soy Loco is in this fight. Yellow flag in Sector 3. Capitano retiring for the session. Not what the AlphaTauri team needed. The question is any of these teams... I think the biggest winners today is going to be that BWT Racing Point team. You got Will Ans in first. His teammate DNF'd. You got Soy Loco in second. His teammate currently P10. Actually, it's going to be the Alfa Romeo team is what it's going to be. P3 and 6 currently for those guys. Currently 6th in the constructor standings. We got the Ferrari of Haytite, currently P4. His teammate DNF'd early on as well. Uncle Ben's Rice in the Renault. His teammate DNF'd. Whew. My oh my, this race just got all the more interesting. Speaking of battles, and speaking of the Renault and Alfa Romeo, here comes Uncle Ben's Rice. Now he might make a move on Murphinselli here shortly, especially he's on that he's on the soft compound, but more importantly, Soy Loco still trying to make as much of a move as he can on Will Ans. Trying everything he can to make something happen. Murphinselli trying his best to keep Ben's Rice behind him. Ben's Rice maybe outpacing him on that soft compound. He's going to get the DRS, and here comes Ben's Rice for P6. Nicely done from Ben's Rice. Comeback climb back into the top 6 now. Maybe Soy Loco lost a bit of time there. He's now a second behind Will Ans. Unfortunate for Soy Loco, however, it's not out the door yet. Soy Loco still within 0.8 of a second. He's got the DRS as well. Got the Haas of Splendub behind him, although back marker. And oh, that's the Noganator who's gone around in that portion of the track. Lost a bit of his front wing as well. Not what he needed by any means. But Soy Loco still doing everything he can. Oh, and I think Will Ans just simply got a better group of corners than Soy Loco did. That's going to move the gap to outside 1 second, although he did get the DRS through the activation zone over there on entrance to turn 14. Soy Loco still doing everything he can to close this gap to Will Ans. I tell you what, Soy Loco has the ability. I think unless something mysterious happens, he's going to get P2. Unless something ridiculous happens, he's going to get... I don't see him moving outside the podium positions, as well as Haytite also picked up. That puts him on 3 seconds. Soy Loco's up to 6, although he has a gap of 7.2 back to ZGS in third. This one's going to get interesting, folks. Because Soy Loco wants the spot. He's just going to have to make sure that he doesn't make any more errors resulting in track limits violations. Looks like Hightower trying to make the move on Subtle for P11. An unfortunate turn of events for the Mercedes team as Forza Juve started in a very good spot. Down to P13, and yeah, there goes Hightower making the move around Subtle. That was very nicely done. Fuselim lost 4 spots. Unfortunate for him. I think he started on pole as well. Definitely not what he needed, although a pretty solid result. P5 still is. You got to think as well, coming into his first race full-time for the Haas team. That's pretty solid, I'd say. It's not P1 and it's not a podium, but P5 is pretty solid, and I think he definitely has to be happy with that. Haytite Gaming in that Ferrari. P4, not what he wanted. Although, I tell you what, it's still a pretty solid day. He hasn't lost or gained anything, but I tell you what, not what the Ferrari team needed for sure. Alfa Romeo is still decently far back of that BWT Racing Point team for 5th and 6th. Although Racing Point's going to close in ever so slightly on Ferrari. So we might have Racing Points also in this battle for the Constructors' Podium. That could get interesting as well. We still have a lot of races left to go here. In our next 3 races, we actually only have 4 races to go after this. Brazil, Hungary, France, and then the season finale at Singapore. Spoolendub picking up 3 seconds for multiple warnings. Not what he needed. He's actually right here, right behind Soy Loco. Soy Loco doing his best to keep it within that second mark on Will Hands. A little bit further back, it looks like Detail trying to make some moves here on Monkey Mafia as they go into turns 1 and 2. Detail doing his best he can. I tell you what, Detail's made up 3 spots since the beginning, not what he needed. Although it looks like the biggest mover in this race is going to go to Monkey Mafia. Up to P9. Pretty solid from him. He's on a very, very good streak of finishing around that P7 mark. I think his last 3 results have been P6, P7, P6, I don't know, but I remember him telling me that the other day. He's very, very consistent Monkey Spin. And I tell you what, I think a P9 would be pretty good for him here, although not exactly what he wanted. I'm sure he wanted a lot better than P9, but after the quality he had, starting P18, P9 looks probably pretty good to him. A little bit further up, Soy Loco still doing as best as he can to keep up with Will Hands. Now this would be a very interesting battle if Spoolendub was on the lead lap. Unfortunately, he's not. And but I tell you what, though, in reality, Spoolendub is doing a really good job of staying up with Soy Loco. I tell you what, if we had Spoolendub in the top 4 here, that would be a very good battle, as Spoolendub has not lost any time. Being that he's, you know, obviously a little bit behind. Scroll a little bit further back. Detail still trying everything he can to get around Monkey Mafia for that P9. Monkey Mafia's done a great job of keeping it consistent so far. If we look at the penalties, so PWR Grim Reefer has 9 seconds of penalties ahead of Monkey Mafia. So Monkey Mafia probably going to get P8 here as well. So still, again, within that P7 range that he's been gunning for. Speaking of Ben, here's Uncle Ben Zarias. He's going to try to make the move on Fusa anytime soon. Though you'd have to believe that that soft compound's starting to wear away just a little bit, but I wonder what the difference is between the 10-lap-old softs and the 18-lap-old mediums of Fusa. A little bit further back, it looks like Forza Juve. He's gotten around Detail. And now Forza Juve wants into this as well. Side by side into turn 1. Forza Juve moving up into P9. Very, very solid job from him, but this battle's still not over. Now Detail wants into this as well. He's going to be looking to the gearbox of Monkey Mafia, although he's playing it really safe. Forza Juve gets an awful exit to turn number 3, opens the door for Monkey Mafia to take the spot back, and Monkey does just that. A little bit further back, Subtle gets around Hightower. Very nice overtake from him, although we didn't get to see it. Pain on my end for that. But here comes Ben Zarias, still trying to find his way around Fuselin. On exit of turn 13, it's still very closely contested as Will Ann starts his final lap of the Grand Prix. Ben's Rice still trying everything he can, trying to get everything out of every ounce out of that soft compound tire, although I will say it looks like the mediums are about on that same pace as the softs. If that's all that Ben's Rice can crank out of that DRS, it's not going to be enough, and Ben's Rice nearly losing the car on exit of turn 2 as he did in the qualifying session. Still has the DRS, but has probably lost most of his chance of an overtake there as Will Ans makes his way into Sector 2 around turns 9 and 10. Detail still behind Monkey Mafia. Down into turn 1, but we're going to go back along with Will Ans here. Soy Loco about a second and a half behind him. What a fun race this has been, I will say. Yellow flag in Sector 2. Who's that? That's Haytite. Something's happened to Haytite. Has Haytite got a puncture? Haytite's got a puncture on his right rear. I can't say we've seen that one before. Haytite now moving down the order. But more importantly, Will Ans taking the win here at the Albert Park Circuit for the Australian Grand Prix. What a result for Will Ans. Soy Loco is going to finish second. The best result of the season for the PWT Racing Point team. And now here comes ZGS. He's going to finish P3. What a podium this is. ZGS filling in this week for Humble Hippo finishes P3. Haytite Gaming still he's got the puncture on the left rear. How has that happened? He's absolutely nursing the car back to the line, trying everything he can. And is he going to lose the position to Forza Juve as well? And it looks like he will. And it looks like Ben's Rice got the better of Murphinselli at some point during that lap. Fuselim finished 4th. Nicely done from him and Haytite, falling down the order. Haytite was around P7. Oh, this one's going to get close here very shortly, and he's going to lose the position to Hightower as well. Goodness me, this can't get any worse for Haytite. Crawls to a P11 finish. There's actually gained a spot there. Nicely done, I suppose. But wow, that one. That was a good one. That was a very, very fun race, I will say. And I tell you what, this Albert Park Circuit track, definitely one for drama. Definitely one for surprises. Monkey Mafia picking up driver of the day. But no surprise here, Will Ans picking up the win here in Australia for that AlphaTauri team. Is that Michael Schumacher? Somehow Michael Schumacher has found his way on the pole. Or onto the podium, I mean. Michael Schumacher has entered the chat. How has this happened? So wow, an interesting end to the race there. Will Ans taking the win, Soy Loco in second, ZGS in third, Fuselim fourth, Ben's Rice in fifth, Murphinselli sixth, seventh Forza Juve, eighth PWR, Grim Reefer, ninth Monkey Mafia, 10th Detail, 11th Haytite, 12th is Hightower, 13th Subtle, 14th Saffron City, 15th Spool and Dub, 16th Inoganator, 17th El Capitano, 18th is Nero Nix, 19th Ray 46, and then rounding out the field in P20 is Adol Tony, and we will get to those interviews right now. Finish Soy Loco, I tell you what, the best finish of the season so far for the BWT Racing Point team, and you had an absolutely brilliant drive as well. Now that one got stressful for a while because you had the time penalties. How much was that playing on you? How much pressure were you under?
I think, to be honest with you, the win was out of my hands, so I wasn't gonna. All I was trying to do was just keep up with Will Ans and keep his DRS because I saw the gap to ZGS just continuing to grow. So really, at the end of the day, I was just trying to maintain the gap to Will Ans, keep his DRS, and keep going. But unfortunately, it was just a couple stupid. When you turn in a bit too early in this track, it gives you those track invalidations. So they did get me, but at least I was able to keep second for now.
Absolutely, and it was a really fun drive as well, and it's fun seeing you keep up with Will Ans as well. It definitely looked like you guys were pretty equal on pace there for quite a while, and as I said, our next three, Brazil, Hungary, and France. How do you feel about this next three?
Definitely like Brazil. I'm not sure if obviously I'll be competitive enough to win, but I'll do my best. Hungary, not my favorite, and what was the last one? France. France, I'm okay with. But I wouldn't say any of these tracks are really my strongest.
Well, I tell you what, anything can happen here in Division Two, and I tell you what, we're definitely capable of surprises here, and I definitely think you've got the pace to pull out another podium. So good luck to you for next week, and thank you for joining me. An absolutely brilliant drive. And then Will Ann. So Will, I tell you what, there, as I was just saying, Soy Loco, he was pressuring you for a little bit. He had the time penalties, but he was definitely giving you a good run for your money there, wasn't it?
Yeah, he did have really good pace. Those last sort of 10 laps, I knew because of Soy Locos penalties that even if he did get me, I wouldn't have fought him. I would have just let him go and won it on penalties. So I was just trying to keep it within the lines and not spin because the hards at the very end of the stint weren't the grippiest. So I was just trying to keep it consistent, not making mistakes.
Yeah, so I know that you're not one of the fans of having a safety car restart, and I tell you what, so that how did you fare with that today, having the safety cars being thrown into the mix?
I mean, it actually helped me in a way because I was a bit unsure for the pit stop phases because I had Ben just behind me before the safety car came out, and my original plan was to box on lap 9, but I sort of knew if I didn't box lap 8, Ben would have boxed lap 8 to undercut me. But then I was also worried that if I covered that off by boxing lap 8, maybe he'd overcut me. So it just took that decision away from me then. So yeah, I'll take it.
Right, so our next three, obviously Brazil, Hungary, and France, but then our season finishes off in Singapore. Now that one's definitely raising some eyebrows. How do you feel going into this final stretch of the season?
I'm not too sure about tracks, maybe like France and Hungary. I'd say Singapore's probably my strongest track on the game. It's probably tied with Silverstone actually. But yeah, I'm not too sure. But it's tracks where you can have some really good racing, especially France and Brazil. So I look forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, another brilliant win for you, Will, and thank you for joining me. And thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week when we do go down to Sao Paulo, Brazil for week number 9 here in Division 2. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.